Good evening. C01 Leaders Connect 360 is CSR initiative by Visa Training and organized by the Mass Leadership. My name is Priyanka and I'm working as a soft skill facilitator in Ambuja Cement Foundation. Leaders Connect 360 is started with the specific objective of inviting 1,000 plus leaders and create a million leaders. It is an online hub where every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. we learn from top management leaders on Zoom Live. And once in quarter, in each city, we have an offline networking, meet to network, support and grow with the leaders. That's why we call Leaders Create More Leaders. Currently, all are muted, and we will be giving an opportunity to speak to our guest, Mr. Setu Shah. Welcome, sir. Global HCM Product Strategy Director, Oracle. Before you are unmuted, let me share that we are currently live on LinkedIn, and this episode LC0129 is being recorded. First time visitor may click on the WhatsApp, FB, and LinkedIn on the chat box to get updated by joining us in creating more leaders. All in-house are requested to turn on your videos, which will help in making the episode highly interactive. So we all are ready to interact with our guest, Mr. Setu sir, and our panel discussion leader, Dr. Vasanthi ma'am. So please share a thumbs up and a smiley in the chat box. So yes, thank you all. So thank you. Before the introduction of the guest, let me introduce Mr. Pankaj, Managing Partner, Visa Training, will interact with our guest along with the panel discussion leader, Dr. Vasanthi ma'am. I shall welcome you all and over to you, Pankaj sir.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. Thank you so much. Good evening, all the visitors and the guests. I welcome you, Mr. Setu Shah, taking our time and being the guest today for our LC129. So, as the topic itself is very interesting, right? For any organization, it is important, right? There are two things. One is people, other is culture, right? And the topic today we have is a people-centric culture. As we say, people create a culture, and we say culture takes care for the people. So it's all interlinked. And I'm happy that today we have an expert like Mr. Setu Shah, who will be addressing this topic and will definitely give us some learnings, some takeaway. So I welcome you, Setu sir, for this particular program and your talk or with your expertise on this particular topic. So I welcome you once again. Before we move forward, let me share you the agenda of the program. So how the program will proceed. So after this, I will invite Dr. Vasanthi Jason as our panel discussion leader, who will interact with our guest today. Post the interaction, there will be a small quiz, which will be taken care by Ms. Divya. And post that quiz, we'll have open question session, basically where we can ask certain questions to our guest. And then we have our summary done by our summary leader, Mr. Senthil, and Mr. Nelle will do the vote of thanks. So that's how the entire agenda would be. And we will try and close in the stipulated time by 7:30. So before we move forward, I would ask Mr. Arul to have a formal introduction video for our guest, Mr. Setu Shah, and our panel discussion leader, Dr. Vasanthi Jason. Over to you, Arul. Thank you so much, Arul. Thank you so much. So, Setu sir, officially and a formal welcome to you. So, without taking much of the time, I would like you to come on the screen. And Dr. Vasanthi, you can take up the panel discussion with our guest, Mr. Setu Shah.
Good evening. Good evening. Namaste. Welcome to everybody. So, welcome to Setu Sir too.
Thanks a lot, Pankaj, Arul, and Vasanthi for this warm welcome. Pretty excited to be here with a lot of folks who have willingly agreed to spend time with us. So pretty excited about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Haven't seen your LinkedIn profile. We are actually privileged to have you in the forum, I should say, because of your innovation and your inspiring, the way you are been mentoring the startups of what I read about you. You've been doing a great job. Thank you. Thank you, Setu, for being here with us. So let me start the conversation. First of all, that when I read through some research work on this, I came across one interesting, information that according to 2023 Workplace Learning Report, 83% of organizations want to build a more people-centric culture. And more than 4 in 5 organizations have enlisted their learning and development departments to help with them this. So what, according to you, is people-centric, first of all, and why is it important in a workplace? And how do you say this is very paramount in today's scenario?
Thanks a lot for the question, Vasanthi. That should be a good icebreaker for, I think, a lot of folks here as well. According to me, people centricity is basically people agenda at the center of any workplace strategy, and this is something that kind of is prevalent in almost every industry that briefly I have touched or worked with. Be it a service industry, be it a product intensive industry, be it a capital intensive industry or otherwise. The world in general, the world of work, the world of business, consumers, markets are undergoing continuous and rapid changes, especially in the last 1 decade or so that we have seen. There has been a sheer increase in, newer business models, newer technologies, newer facets of consumer behavior, which have been unprecedented going, at least till now. Now, I believe in the saying that people are good and they want to do good work. And hence, if you take care of your people, as it's rightly said, they'll definitely take care of your business, they'll take care of your resources, they'll take care of your consumers and customers as well. So that's one of the reasons why, I feel that people centricity in an organizational culture, strategy, or otherwise is extremely important.
So now that we've known why is it important, can you just tell us how it will blend with the organization mission and vision and the values also, and how it can be reinforced? Because the organization culture has also, Pankaj had given a nice introduction. The culture and the people go together. So how do you, can you say something on how this blend really happens?
Okay. So I think we all might have heard, that saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And obviously it's true. At the same time, for anyone to kind of enforce culture as well, or build or cultivate a culture, it does require a strategy or actions as well. Now, as you rightly said, Vasanthi, uh, a company's vision, mission, or values is something which is more of an explicit differentiator. It's something which is quite prevalent. Most of the companies today have it, and we can very easily understand these about a company from their publicly available websites or otherwise. However, culture as we speak, it's quite implicit in nature, and this implicit differentiator kind of creates a distinguishing factor against or between their competition in the market as well. And these can be influenced by an organization's vision, mission, and values. Now, so many times we have seen that vision, mission, and values are, more or less great, looking great on websites, or on the other end of the spectrum, there are organizations like, say, for example, the Tatas or the Schneiders, or a lot of these global organizations who are embodiment of, their culture and vision as well. So, basis my experience, a lot of these larger organizations, or even organizations of any size, even startups, have been able to conceive culture and embody mission, vision, and values within that by a lot of continuous efforts. Now, absence of any effort or any of these fours kind of creates a stagnation, as we all understand, in an organizational culture. And the efforts needed to influence these behaviors kind of needs to touch all stakeholders, all individuals, all people. Now, when I say all stakeholders, we all very easily understand that, okay, it should include all employees, leadership, middle managers. But then again, while these are very easily understood, an organization also needs to take care, or needs to explicitly make it known about these things, and also showcase these things to a lot of external stakeholders as well. It could be your customers, consumers, your distributors, partners, suppliers. So any value that you have, say for example, transparency, now that has to kind of flow everywhere, even in your marketing campaigns, in your messaging, in the way you deal with your consultants, customers, you deal with your distributors, partners, and the likes.
Okay, now that you've said, also spoken about the outside people, that is the stakeholders, and the management and the employees, how are we going to do this? in action? And can you tell me any real-time scenarios where this has happened, where all three have come together and it has been done? A people-centric culture has been enforced, and how did it go about?
Okay, I'll kind of start off by giving a brief description of.
Yes.
Obviously, there is no silver around it. It is quite different for organizations having a different workforce, having a different market, having being at a different maturity curve in their organization. But in bits and again, there again, it's a journey and not a destination. Being a people-centric organization. So, say for example, even if we ask the audience right now or at the end of our session, a lot of them, would name a few companies that they feel are people-centric. They feel take care of their employees well, customers well, or the partners and rest of the ecosystem well as well. Okay, and there are quite a few names in the market as well. Now, starting off with some of breaking it down a little further. So say for example, one thing that we can all start off with is organization and its leaders. They need to define what people are responsible for and what are they empowered to do in terms of their authority as well. Now, it is very easier understood than done. We all understand that jobs need to be well defined and the likes. But there again, people need to know what they need to do, more importantly. Now, incidentally, I was talking to a few organizations, extremely large multinational conglomerates, and while talking to them, I asked, just as an introduction, we asked people, okay, what do you do? What is your role like, right? So a lot of people told me that, okay, I'm responsible, or rather, my role is a finance head, or I'm the HR head, or I am, the operations head and the like. So everybody was very explicit about their roles. What I did was I asked them, okay, so since you are, in an XYZ role, I understand that you are responsible for ABC. Okay, maybe you are responsible for funding, you are responsible for, your employees' well-being, you are responsible for, ensuring operational efficiency and the likes. And incidentally, most of those people kind of shrugged away, saying that, hey, I have that role, but then again, I have a complete team who does that. Okay, I'm not the only person doing that. And this was something that caught my attention very well, that everybody understands their role, but there is a lack of accountability in saying that I am responsible for this. So I think the next time, a lot of us introducing ourselves, we may want to use that word, saying that I am responsible for this. I am responsible for product strategy. I'm responsible for something, that encompasses my role. And that brings a strong sense of accountability in terms of what I am supposed to do, and also a sense of purpose as well. And this comes from a structure that an organization has, and how easily or how deeply it is influenced the behaviors as one. The second aspect around this is authority in terms of across, say, again, across a lot of service sector organizations and conglomerates and manufacturing organizations as well. I observed that there are multiple levels of hierarchy. I understand if it is across different departments, but then again, there were two people from the same department, a person and his or her manager in the approval chain. Now, why is that even required? So in my early days of empowering digital HR adoption, I would ask a lot of such questions that, okay, why are these two levels required in the same department? And the only answer that I would get is that, okay, the manager wants to know that, why is this being approved? Or at times it was even, the various limits because of which there were multiple approvals required. Now, this kind of tells the employee or the reportee that, okay, you can try out approving, but then again, the final authority is somebody else. And that is where the person loses that accountability, saying that, okay, I'm responsible for a few things, but then again, my manager or my boss is the ultimate authority. Now, I was just reading one of the Netflix books called No Rules Rules, a pretty interesting one and quite radical in its approach as well. So they had this thing that, we are not keeping limits. We are going to allow people to approve, what they are responsible for. And, they can sign a contract, which is, let's say, 100K to a million to, 10 millions, whatever it is. And as long as they shoulder and own the responsibility. So that was interesting. So the idea is not to kind of remove the levels, but then again to kind of justify it in terms of your organization structure, to empower people to take decisions. Okay. Third and the last aspect that I would touch upon is psychological safety. Now, by seeking and providing psychological safety, what we mean is that psychological safety describes a belief that neither formal or informal consequences or repercussions of any interpersonal risk, like asking for help or even failure, will be punitive. Now, say, for example, a person is asking for help, or a person tried something and failed at it. The initiative failed. As long as he or she is owning that up and willing to take accountability for it, and willing to share his or her learnings with the team, if that is not punitive, that empowers the person with that psychological safety net to experiment more, to try out more, and to transform his role and his area of influence in a very different way, and that would bring a lot of innovation as well. So these are the three things that I wanted to highlight as part of people-centric organizations, in terms of what it embodies and how they would want to play it out.
So now that we've known these three strategies, can you say some challenges or barriers organization face when trying to establish a people-centric culture, and how they can also overcome them? Maybe you can say from your experiences to having a profound 30 years of experience in different areas, and you've been going globally too. So I think, I hope you will be having a vast expertise on this.
Okay. So Vasanthi, in terms of challenges that an organization, or more importantly, barriers that an organization may face, is I mean, it's I can think of three aspects. The first one is the structure. Again, connecting back to responsibility and authority, in terms of creating a structure that allows an employee as an individual to perform, and with some authority as well. So that is something that an organization, in terms of its leadership and the organization creator or stakeholders, can definitely do, in terms of creating a structure that is far more sustainable and empowering. The second one is going to be enablement, in terms of psychological safety, something again that we spoke about. That, say, for example, if in a meeting I have to raise an objection, or I have to voice my difference of opinion against a view posted by my manager or by my peer, or by another colleague, what is the process for that? Can I do it right away, or do I need to collaborate with them before or after the meeting and then do that? Okay, that would be one of the ways, or in terms of how objections are handled, how differing opinions are handled in an organization, and how are they considered as well. Are there any repercussions because of that? Okay, am I being looked at differently going forward? So these would be some of the aspects of, say, for example, psychological safety. The third one is the embodiment of all of these, or the influencing factor. The first one that we spoke about was the environment. The second one was the enablement, and the third one is embodiment in terms of the factors that influence, the entire ecosystem. Now, say for example, there are various rewards and benefits, etc., which are available in the organization. Now, are your rewards and benefits showcasing the culture that you want to bring in? So say for example, and again, there's nothing right or wrong. So a lot of startup driven organizations, who are at, be it at a series 1 funding level, series 2 funding level, or have just been, listed as, publicly listed organizations as well, but basically who are aspiring for higher growth. So a lot of those organizations would want to say that, hey, we want to have and focus more on our short-term rewards and short-term strategies. And that is where we want to give our employees things which are right now. So say, for example, one of the benefits or rewards policies could be, employee of the quarter, employee of the month, or say, for example, a lot of new age organizations today, let's say a merchandising organization or an apparel organization today, they have started having a pet allowance or a pet adoption policy as well. Okay. Now, this is something which is slightly newer to, a larger corporate structure, but then again, they have started having that. There are organizations as a structure, they have a chief happiness officer for their employees. Okay.
Okay.
And obviously, if you all Google it, you all will find some of these names as well. But quite interesting, and a lot of these are examples within India itself. So this is where some of the organizations that want to move fast, they are trying to focus on those short-term or immediate rewards, which is great, because that is what their immediate strategy is, and that is a culture that they want to bring in as well. At the same time, you have a lot of other organizations who focus on those long-term rewards. Now, a lot of these long-term rewards could be, say, for example, your tenured service awards, your financial support to your family members in case of death, subsidized home loan rates. So a lot of these kind of cultivate a feeling of belongingness and longevity for an employee. Okay. So it kind of depends on what an organization wants going forward, or at least immediately, and focus a little more there. So some of the unique benefits that I came across was, say, for example, was the pet adoption leave. Then you have laundry services, outpatient medical and wellness coverage, especially after the pandemic, is quite prevalent across the board, where everybody is concerned about, their physical and medical well-being as well. So a lot of that is happening. And these things kind of appeal to an intrinsic cultural fundamental that a lot of organizations have. Okay. So ideally, no organizations can do everything. Okay. So that's where every organization needs to pick and choose, and a disproportionate concentration across these two types of things, like a psychological safety and a positive motivator based on behavioral demands that an organization has, basis its employee demographics, will help an organization strive towards taking the right balance.
Okay, very nice said. And I think it can also foster retention, employee retention.
Yes.
That is the way you are saying. It is very difficult. That concept is very difficult to hold a person who's very knowledgeable and with expertise. How do you hold them? This is the way, I think, the steps you have given. And, to retain the best talent and to make the happy employee also, as you said about the happiness concept. So I think it was very well said. And to the last one, can you just drop in some insights for organizations and for us to how to embark on this journey of creating a more people-centric workplace culture?
Okay. So While I think we spoke about psychological safety, I think that applies even to the people who want to cultivate that culture as well. Okay, so experimentation is so. I mean, I leave you with three E's: experiment, evaluate, and evolve. Okay, so definitely, even they have the privilege, liberty, and the responsibility to kind of experiment. Uh, so the core elements and approach ideally can be extended by every company to cover all organizational touch points for all of the stakeholders, like, in terms of people, employees, consumers, clients, consultants, everything that we spoke about, to all the groups in terms of departments, partners, distributors, agencies, or say, for example, to the entire ecosystem, which also includes the organization, market, and the communities that they are a part of. Okay. Now, is there an ideal combination to all of these? Not really, but then again, it changes based on the leadership style as well. That's fairly important. The middle managers have a pivotal role in doing this because they form a core connect and embodiment of culture that an organization sees. And as employees as well, they need to take accountability of their career path and their learnings to kind of achieve or traverse that path as well. Okay, and these things influence the market dynamics. We know a lot of organizations today that we understand by the name brand itself, right? Say, for example, if we call out organizations like Tata's or Apple or let's say a lot of these larger organizations, you have Ubers and lots of organizations in the world. So just based on their brand name, there are some values that we can think of, and that is what uh, they have achieved in terms of exhibiting their culture. Now, lastly, fueled by a strong emphasis on satisfaction, development, and well-being of employees, uh, people-centric culture recognizes that people are the most valuable assets across all your strategic initiatives, operational initiatives, and most importantly, your decision-making processes as well. Okay, so the three E's that I leave you all with is experiment, evaluate, and evolve across the different aspects that we spoke about in terms of responsibility, authority, and psychological safety.
Okay, thank you for giving us many short, three steps you had given us. And I came across one interesting quote, I should say, that is, we all know KPIs, key performance indexes. I read this, that is, you keep your employee informed, or keep your person informed, involved, inspired, and also included. So this was a lovely KPI I read about, and I just wanted to share with you, Setu, and the others too. And I found it very interesting to remember and keep it too. I think as you said, it all boils down to the leadership and the manager and the whole culture of how they are going to bring about this a beautiful people-centric culture. Thank you, Setu, for being with us. I hope it was a very enlightening session for the forum people and for you too. It was a joy interacting with you, and we will keep in touch. Thank you so much. I open the forum to Arul too. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasanthi. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Setu, for giving the insight. And yes, as rightly mentioned by Vasanthi, that the short forms that really help us to recall and keep a learning for ourselves. And as mentioned by you, the three E's, that experiment, evolve, and evaluate. There is one more E I would like to sum up with the learnings. That is empathize, right? That is one
Absolutely.
of the most important thing when it comes about people, right? Because people always expect people to understand them, right? And that's where this term empathize comes into the picture, right? So thank you so much for bringing in all the insights, and we really second our thought with you on all this, and that will really help all of us to take things forward. So without taking much of the time, I would like to invite Ms. Divya to check what people have learned from the insights shared by Mr. Setu in the form of a quiz. So over to you, Divya, to take up the quiz, and let's see who wins the quiz. And we will give one opportunity to the quiz winner to ask a personalized question to our guest, Mr. Setu. So over to you, Divya, for the quiz.
Thank you very much, Pankaj. It was a great discussion between Setu sir and Vasanthi ma'am. It was like really most needed topic nowadays because people are running behind changing cultures and converting the entire culture of the what we all came from. When you want to do something, do your homework. I'll hit you, otherwise you don't do it. So we are all trying to change that culture across, be it corporate, be it manufacturing industries, healthcare, telecom, pharmacies. Everything is running behind culture changing, and people like Setu sir rightly said, no, we are all introducing ourselves into psychological safety nowadays. We are all bottling up our own emotions because that psychological safety is missing. So rightly mentioned and wonderfully explained, like Vasanthi ma'am said, put in a very small crux in 3 values, which will help us to remember now and then. So the question I have is a little interesting. It's also a part of the third question here. So when Vasanthi ma'am asked what is the organization's strategy or probably how to overcome the barriers of people-centric culture, he again said 3 things, out of which one thing was really catchy for me. I don't know how catchy is for all others. So I'm posting the question. I'll also read that out. An organization has to use these strategies to establish people-centric culture and to overcome barriers. One is influencing pattern, another one is questioning pattern, and safety pattern. So if you could, type the answer or probably, raise your hands or anything of that sort would be helpful for us to identify the winner. Again, I'll repeat the question slowly. An organization has to use these strategies to establish people-centric culture and to overcome barriers in organization. I have identified 3 patterns. One is influencing pattern, questioning pattern, and safety pattern. Mr. Setu was very particular in giving examples and saying words in such patterns, if you could identify that. Okay, Arogya Raj says safety pattern. I'll give you a cue. He was talking about, okay, Vasanthi ma'am says influencing. Q is about, he was talking about how do I ask questions? Will it work? Can I ask such kind of questions? Would I be able to oppose people in this thought? So that's the pattern we are talking about here. Okay. I really hope if you couple of people can answer so we can finalize the quiz considering the time here. I got 2 answers, safety pattern and influencing pattern. All right. Okay. Heslin Davis says questioning pattern. Arogya Raj again says questioning or inquiry-based learning. Okay. I'm going to give it to Vasanthi ma'am because, yeah, it's influencing pattern. It's more like you inviting the questions, even though it is a complicated question, even though it is a question which you are not willing to answer. Organization has to break that barrier and welcome employees to ask that question. Okay. And that's when you create the culture, that psychological safety curve comes in, and you open the forum to the employee saying that you can come to me no matter what, because we are trying to open the culture for you. Thank you very much, Vasanthi ma'am. I give it to you.
Thank you, Divya.
It's a great thing that you have noticed what I've curated out of it.
Okay.
Great, thank you very much, Setu sir. I believe that I've made justice with the question I've asked. So
that's amazing. That's amazing, Divya. Thanks a lot for doing that, and congratulations to the winner as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very
So
much.
it's for the first time I'm in the panel discussion leader has become the winner of the quiz, right? So congratulations, Ms. Vasanthi.
This is the second time, Pankaj, if I have to tell you.
Okay, no, not you. I mean, panel discussion leader is, winning the quiz. So anyways, congratulations to you. Okay, and Mr. Arul will do the needful in terms of what, I believe it's a mass leadership book. Arul, if it's the second time for her, then you need to check on that. What can be given away as a prize for that quiz. So if you want to ask any further question, Vasanthi, as a winner, that's an opportunity for you to ask any question to him. You may ask. Else, we will leave it open to the forum to ask at least 3 to 4 questions. as the time is less for us. So we leave it up to the visitors if they may ask to have any questions with our guest. Either you can unmute yourself or you can raise your hand and we'll give you an option to unmute and take up the question. So I leave it open for an open Q&A with our guest.
Yeah, the forum can ask, Pankaj. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I'm stealing that question from Vasanthi now.
Sure.
Great. Setu sir, I am impressed when you were started telling about, see, not many people talk about what you're talking about today in the forum. We all very, not very open for, uncomfortable question nowadays. We need to ask those questions. Be it, why am I not given opportunity to anything of that sort? Those kind of complicated questions has to be asked. Now, when you're talking about psychological safety, I think that's the first thing I need to get for me to proceed with that question, right? Now, when I am a leader who's wanting to create that psychological safety, but what if I don't have it in me first? What if that I am not able to answer that question first? What is that I don't know how to answer if someone comes to me and asks me? Normally, what we do as human being is park it, ignore, move on. We don't even address it later. We just too scared to address it, right? So could you please give me some sort of a suggestion as a leader to me how to address or handle these kind of questions if a team member comes and asks me, Divya, why are you not giving me opportunity?
So I think it kind of begins with a purpose or a belief. So something that I repeat to myself is something I started off with, that people are good and they are here to do a good job. Okay, but then again, everyone has their own different journey, and good, right, all of these are very, very subjective to people. Okay. And while everybody wants to be successful, that definition itself is different in terms of how they define it. So firstly, the more you communicate with your team in terms of what your expectations are from them and what they understand by these expectations, and how they plan to approach that, I think that is where you all will slowly form a middle ground in terms of your understanding of each other's saying to start with. Secondly, I think as a leader, one thing that in my first job, my CEO told me was that I want to be the dumbest person in the room and I want to be surrounded by all smart people around me. And he didn't tell this to me. So we had a customer, we had one of our prolific customers, our marquee customers come and visit us in our office, and we were my CEO was surrounded by about 5 or 10 of us, and it was more of a startup ecosystem at that point of time. So you can imagine the amount of pressure that a startup CEO has, right? And he stood up and he said that, hey, this is my team and I am definitely the dumbest person here. But then again, I hired most of these people because I want to be surrounded by smarter people and do least amount of work. So as I think even Pankaj mentioned, empathy and that self-reliance, that it's okay if I don't know everything as a leader. And the first time you do that, the first time you say I don't know, you'll definitely have a lot of stares. Your team will think that, oh, Divya doesn't know this. How is she qualified to lead us? But then I think over a period of time, everybody understands that we are all human. We all have some blind spots, and they'll rise to the occasion to kind of tell you that, hey, Divya, why don't you try out this? And that is an amazing help for you as a team, and that is what you want your team to do, right? In terms of to help you out if at all you are missing a mark or the department is not doing well. So it's all about that higher purpose, that you all want the organization to be successful by linking that success or bridging that success to every individual's personal success as well. And that kind of gets me back to my earlier point, that start by having those discussion in terms of what is expected of you, what does success mean to you, and how do you want to approach it. because you'll kind of find that the way a lot of people approach it is very, very different. You pick, any hierarchy of needs, be it Maslow's or anybody else. Everybody understands that differently, and even are at different levels, or even at multiple levels at different points of time. So while a lot of us may feel that, hey, maybe social safety is great, or maybe empowerment or achievement is great, but then I think for a lot of others that may not be true. I hope I answered your questions, Divya.
Yeah, you have, I mean, I don't know whether I can use this word. You very diplomatically put it in a different way. But yeah, I got the message. I understood what you were trying to say. That
I'll try to be brutally direct. I mean, tell me, what did you find diplomatic?
Okay,
I tend not to do that. Diplomacy is not my strong suit.
Yeah, what I decoded is I need to know when I need to take a step back. Okay, I need to know when I have to let people run the show. I need to know when to give them the opportunities that they are willing to take. I should feel that as a leader. It's not that I wait for them to come and ask me. I should feel that by the kind of team I have, the kind of surroundings I have built up with, and like your CEO said, I won't be the dumbest person in the room. That gives an opportunity, that automatically gives an opportunity to other people. So that's the message which I've got from you, saying that, it's always best to take sometimes they say, take a passenger seat rather than taking a driver's seat. Like, sit and watch.
I would say, I would just give it a small twist and say that having a learner's mindset in terms of learning from your team and your peers as well, and happily saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
Please teach me, or please tell me what you think about it.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Understood. Agreed.
That works. That works.
Super.
Thanks for sharing. So I believe Mr. Francis wants to ask a question. So Mr. Arul, can you unmute Mr. Francis? So you need to unmute yourself. Yes. Yes, Mr. Francis.
Yeah.
You can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Hi, sir. It's nice to collaborate with people and leaders like many of us today, and it's a nice topic. People-centric, thank you, sir. It was very wonderful. Your vast experience and volume speaks today's very many examples. I would like to ask a question to Mr. Setu, sir. Like, sir, based on your hands-on experience in different corporate and different sectors of industry, so how would you feel that today's employers are taking it as a chance or a choice, people-centric strategy in their forum, sir? Do you really feel that today leaders are taking up people-centric strategy into their industry and companies? So what is your, justifying answer for this? Like, based on your hands-on experience, and you have traveled across, so I would like to hear from you, sir.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Francis. So firstly, a lot of organizations and leaders, more importantly, have understood that people are their most prized possessions in an organization. Okay. At the same time, they are not sure how to do it. Okay. So that the tribal wisdom that most of us have in terms of, the industrial revolution that a lot of people kind of came up with. So a lot of people have shifted their understanding that people centricity is important. They need to take care of their people. Well, they want their teams to innovate, because as I said earlier, the markets, the business models, and the consumer behavior, everything is changing very, very rapidly, along with technology and a lot of other influences, be it environmental legislation driven or otherwise. What everybody's trying to experiment and do it their way, and that is where I think everybody is still learning. And people centricity is a journey and not a destination. So everybody tries to improve their relationship with their people. As I think Vasanthi ma'am also said earlier, that most of the organizations want to be people centric. They want to engage their employees. So about 3 years back, we hardly heard a lot about employee engagement. Employee engagement was only about surveys. Right now, it's a completely different paradigm. You have a lot of organizations thinking about it very, very consciously and trying to invest a lot in that as well. Okay, so a lot of organizations are trying and leaders are trying. That is what I would say in terms of a majority of organizations. There'll definitely be a few who may be a little late on the bus or who may be on a different bus altogether. But that's the majority across what I have observed. And this is a lot of large organizations as well as a lot of startups as well. Both of those are currently doing that. To give you one example, there was this airline industry leader that we were talking to somewhere in 2021 at the fag end of pandemic, and they were like, our business is not yet going to grow because there are a lot of restrictions, but then we want to invest in our people right now. And our question to them was, oh, really? But we heard that airline industry is going under a lot of pressure. A lot of crew, pilots, etc., are facing a lot of challenges in terms of pay cuts and pay slips and stuff like that, in terms of salaries, etc., etc. So what the response that I got from a leader was that this is a time when we want to put our head down and do something more for our people, not just because they are staying with us, but then when the tide turns, when the market opens, we want them to grow and soar higher. So there is a lot of empathy that has kind of crept in at leadership across various organizations as well. I hope that answers your question, Francis.
Yeah, true, sir. Very beautifully said. And, it's icing of the cake. Like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, when people really need it and you take it forward. And very many examples, like, I think Adyar Anandaban also, I heard his speech during this pandemic time that he could not leave any employee. He was able to, manage and do it well. And one fine example about the airlines was really motivating. Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Francis, for the question.
So thank you for answering the question. So now I believe we have two more people. So we give a chance to Mr. Haslin Davis to ask the question, and then we have Mr. Senthil Kumar, and then we can close the Q&A. So Mr. Haslin, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, sir. I'm audible.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. Hi, sir. The session was very good. It gave me a lot of insights, even though you put it in one single words, but it was more helpful in knowing what we are doing. And I am a safety officer. I work for an organization. We are in the manufacturing sector, and we are trying to build a positive safety culture among the workers in creating the workplace more safer for them. So there are some issues that we face. I need your suggestion in where to start. Like, we have some initiatives. Like, if they see something is unsafe, they need to report us. We started in a particular point of time, we were not getting that much of results. Then what we started giving them like short-term rewards and all. So after that, we got the participation. We have been getting the numbers. But what happens? Only the selected people who keep on doing and who is getting rewarded, they keep on doing. Then others choose to do the 8 to 5 job, and they are like, how is it going to reward me? The organization is going to get better. The safety culture of the organization is going to be better. I will be working here for only 1 year, and then I'm going to switch my job. Why should I participate in this? So how do we convince these mindset and make them aligned with our goals and making the place more safer for them? This is what I...
Thanks a lot for the question, Davis. So based on the context that I got, a few quick pointers. Firstly, in terms of physical safety, who does that benefit? I think even beyond an organization, in terms of saving their resources because of a fire incident or any other kind of incident, it creates a better working environment for the people. So that is a point that needs to be harvested and spoken about a lot more, that this is going to help you and your team members and your colleagues to perform in a better way, or to perform in a safer environment, causing lesser health hazards and lesser life risks. Okay. And the way this needs to be communicated is not just, the safety officer or the HR officer. But I think something that we mentioned earlier was, the middle managers having a pivotal role, them being, the spokesperson here, and also recognizing people. I think while awards and rewards are there, also recognizing individuals for reporting incidents. Now, some of these incidents could be false alarms. Some of these could be, extremely, positive aspects as well. But in either of the cases, recognizing people that these are the people who came forward and thought about, a larger group. So I think once that recognition starts building up, and this is nothing but not having a punitive action against people who gave a false alarm, and also acknowledging and recognizing people who came up with it. Okay, so there's no positive reinforcement, but removing the negative reinforcement and ensuring that it's in the interest of a larger group and them and the individuals themselves. So as I think even Pankaj ji mentioned, this slowly brings about empathy in the workforce in terms of caring about each other, and also having that recognition that, okay, I was accountable for it and this is something that I did. And my manager is recognizing me more than anybody else.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That was
Thank you.
really helpful. And we need to focus more on this now. We need
Yeah.
to make them understand that they are getting benefited. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis, and thank you, Mr. Setu, for answering that question. So the last question for the day goes to Mr. Senthil Kumar. Senthil sir, over to you for the question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pankaj, and thank you very much, Setu sir. It's a really awesome session. By the way, let me introduce myself. I'm Senthil. I'm in the automotive industry for almost 24 years. I've been in the product development and product compliance team. So now question for today here is, as we are more focusing about the people-centric effort and initiatives that we are planning after this VUCA world, after post-COVID situation, how do we get jobs done from the people or from the team in the present uncertain environment where they have to balance work from home and work from office? Sometimes they go to a remote place. Sometimes it will be very uncertain that whether tomorrow my team member will be coming or not. In this context of situation, how do we commit deliverables to our customers, and how do we get jobs done?
Okay.
Now, there are many management book on jobs to be done, but those books have been launched before post-COVID.
I couldn't agree more, Senthil ji. Now, so a couple of things, that we discussed today on the call as well. One was about responsibility or accountability. How can you garner accountability amongst your people? Okay. Now, this kind of comes when people themselves believe or say that, okay, I am responsible for this, instead of saying that my team is responsible for this, or the team that I work in is responsible for this. So if you can slowly have that individualized across different people, that will, and as they keep on saying that, it's going to reinforce at a subconscious level as well. I'm not trying to go too much in psychology, but trying to bring in that accountability factor, that if somebody is accountable, they are going to show up, or they are going to at least ensure that the work gets done. Okay. So and that accountability also comes with a lot of authority. So how much authority are you willing to give? Okay, because then what happens is, with a combination of authority and accountability, a person feels that if I am not there, it will not get done. It is my responsibility that it will not get done, and I will be responsible, and I'm the only one who has authority to do this small piece of task, or to do this small piece of work. So primarily these two. and giving a little bit of a leeway with psychological safety in terms of building a little bit of slack as well kind of helps people to experiment if you want to bring in some operational efficiency, and also talking to your people in terms of how would they want to either innovate or do things in a better way.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So asking rather than telling.
Yeah.
Good one, good one. I mean, I also feel that there is one more term that's called sense of belongingness. That is also very important, right? Either it could be in a personal or professional. Once that sense of belongingness comes, that proactive approach also comes into a person to do their task or the job, and that sense of ownership also comes in. So I believe somewhere that is missing in the new people, or what we say in the millennials. That is where the challenge is, basically. That sense of belongingness is missing out. That's what I feel personally.
Okay. On this point, or even in general across the entire session, I'm going to raise a disclaimer that the views I shared were my own, and they don't reflect views of my current or present organization or any of the LLMs as well.
Right. So thank you. So now I believe we are almost there. So I would like to invite Senthil sir as our summary leader. So please do the needful, as you are good at summary. So please summarize the session, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pankaj, for this opportunity. For the interest of time, let me make it very short and crisp. The session started with more on people focus. Reason being is the present industry and as well as the consumer market has been unprecedentedly developing. So where people focus needs to be the main key of any business strategy. As Nedu very clearly mentioned about this, culture eats a strategy for the breakfast, which is an implicit nature, whereas the management vision, mission, and values are of explicit nature. And concealing this culture and embodying this is by continuous effort. And leveraging this effort need to be shared in all walks of our business, including customer, consumer, distributor, partners. Coming to the employee need of clarity and in terms of responsibility and empowerment of the job roles need to be made more clear by making them more accountable in the present job role. Thereby, they can come up with the better focus on the business deliverable. Second thing is, there was one classic example where Netu mentioned about the two people in the same position, the same department needs approval, but at the end, where the manager is held responsible for the final approval. So, which means that there is a thread between these two people who are in the same position. So, this here very clearly resonated with the psychological safety and repercussion for asking for help, and thereby strengthening and structuring the responsibility and authority by sustainability and empowerment. And next thing, the effort for improving the psychological safety is by enablement in terms of enablement. And next is how objection from different people are handled without any punishment in a very positive way that helps in influencing the better ecosystem. Not only that, employee rewards and benefits showcasing their growth at the present moment also brings in more people-centric for organization. Other initiative is like pet adoption policy and leaves, or maybe even during the outpatient medical coverage for the well-being or for any mental illness treatment. All these things can be given as a focus from a chief happiness officer as his role and initiative to encourage employee and make people more centric for the organization. And not only that, understanding the people demographic behavior, performance, engagement, all these things helps in building more people-centric in an organization. The 3 E's concept of experiment, evaluate, and evolve is an ideal approach how this will help in developing a people-centric organization. And as well as this depends, the degree of this approach depends from the leadership style followed by the top management or the business leaders. Next is employee focus on his career path in getting new learning brings more contribution for the organization with the new technology and the metaverse technology. Exhibiting the culture, people are more valuable in all walks of the business. The next was the responsibility, authority, and psychological safety brings the strong culture in an organization. There was one more book, what empowering people by authority as quoted from the book No Rule by the Netflix story, which was also resonating on the improvement of the developing and reinventing the people culture step-by-step approach for a company's growth and company's culture of organization. These are the small crux what I have taken in my notes.
Awesome, awesome,
Excellent,
sir.
Awesome.
Thanks for summarizing the entire session in just
Yeah.
couple of minutes. Thank you so much for that. So without taking much of time, I would like to invite Mr. Nelly Naigam for the vote of thanks. And after the vote of thanks, we are going to have a networking. So that will be taken by Mr. Arul. So Mr. Nelly, you can come for the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone, and good evening all. Thanks to BJ Training for this opportunity. Dear Mr. Setu Shah, sir, really wonderful session with the more practical tips and example on the people-centric culture. I love your points on the learner's mindset and psychological safety and 3 E's. Yeah, your points are really helpful to improvise on a people-centric culture, especially like me, who is doing on the quality as well as HSC part. Thanks for inspiring us with your knowledge and insight. Before me sharing about the next week episode, let me quickly share again the purpose of the community. For the visitors who are attending the first time, Leaders Connect 360 is a hybrid model leadership community where every Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. we invite a top management leader from a reputed corporate company to suggest some solutions for our real-time leadership challenges, like the experience we had today from our guest, Mrs. Setu Shah. Kindly follow our social media platforms to get updated. It's very simple to join our community. Do click on the below social media links. It gives me immense pleasure to thank our guest, Mr. Setu Shah, and panel discussion leader, Dr. Vasanthi Jason ma'am, for spending your valuable time in sharing your experience and solutions. Thank you, Setu Shah, sir. Sir, if you would like to share any key points, then you can share.
So I think Senthil ji has been amazing in terms of summarizing it. So I'm not going to steal the show. He has been amazing there. I would just like to take 5 seconds to thank Leaders Connect for the initiative that they are having. Notably Prakash, Arul, Pankaj ji, and Vasanthi ma'am, especially for asking such intriguing questions and sharing her point of view as well. And lastly, for a word of thanks for the audience as well for spending time with us and having lovely interactions on chat and the questions that they asked.
Thank you so much, Setu sir. So be in touch with us.
Absolutely.
And we would like to be in touch. So every Wednesday we have this forum. So if time permits you, you please keep joining us and see more leaders coming in. So thank you so much once again. So Arul, if we can have the thank you video, that will help. And after that, we can have our networking connect. Thank you once again, Setu sir.
Thank you, Setu sir. Thank you.
Have something.